Hi, my name is Juvong, and currently I'm interning at Venture Corporation Limited, and this is my presentation for ATAP. So before going into my project, let me briefly introduce my company. My company focuses on delivering edge devices to customers, and right now in the edge device industry, edge AI is a very hot thing, and edge AI is the trend also. So that's why my company's goals is as follow. They want to develop a cloud application for users to train their own machine learning models that are able to deploy on the edge devices that my company provides. So, to be more specific, they want us to develop a cloud application to support their edge devices that they are going to sell so that uh, users can use their devices more easily. And to be more specific, we'll be mostly training on computer vision models because the use case for the edge devices will mostly be uh, around computer vision tasks like object detection, image classification, image segmentation. And my role in this project is a backend and machine learning engineer. As of now, the progress and accomplishment are as follow. So right now I've built the entire backend systems locally. So the backend comprises of multiple microservices, and I've tested and built all these backend systems locally. And the second thing we have done is integrated object detection models like detection transformers, CNNs, and uh, YOLO series models into our backend system. And I've also built a real-time inference pipeline on edge devices so that users can upload inputs, make AI inference, and get the outputs in real time on edge. These are the goals for the next few weeks or for the next 2 months. So talking about the back end, I'll need to deploy the entire backend systems onto AWS using their infrastructures like S3, EC2, DynamoDB, and Lambdas. Because this is uh, the goal of this project is to build a cloud application. So everything has to be on the cloud. And yeah, we will leverage AWS services to handle the backend. And the second goal is to connect every pieces of the systems, including integrating with front end and smooth passing of models from cloud to edge. So basically, it means building the entire pipeline for the system. And the third goal is to explore more varieties of computer vision models. So right now, we have detection transformers, we have YOLO series models, and RCNN models. So these three are the big families of object detection models, and we'll be looking into more in-depth on these families and explore more models under the umbrellas. Talking about the challenges of my internship, there are three challenges. I mainly summarize into three challenges. So the first challenge is I'll need to learn AWS resources and implement the entire system from scratch. So when I first came in, this project has not been started. So right now, uh, what what me and my colleagues are trying to do is to build everything from zero, and hopefully it can deploy into production. So that's why I have to learn everything and implement everything from scratch. So how I overcame this challenge, I read documentations on AWS website, refer to some notes from previous courses that I've taken, for example, database systems and software engineering principles. And also, uh, I tried implementing things locally to grasp the concepts better. And the second challenge is I need to gain knowledge on firmware engineering. So before entering this internship, I mainly have I only have experience on softwares and I've not really touched on hardwares or firmwares. So this is something I learned throughout this internship. So how I overcame this? Because this is not my expertise, I consulted my colleagues and directors a lot. I asked them questions and read documentations and referred to related courses with relevant contents. For example, computer organization and operating systems. Yeah, because firmware is more low level and these courses helps me a lot. And my third challenge is I wasn't familiar with computer vision, machine learning operations, and HAI. And so before entering this internship, I have no idea how everything works and most importantly, how everything works together. So how I overcame this is I practice a lot of tutorials from TensorFlow, PyTorch, and also some of the partner companies' documentations. They actually teach us how to build our own computer vision models, fine-tune on pre-trained models, and deploy into production. I also read open source code for popular models like YOLO to understand what are the best industry practices and standards when dealing with computer vision models. So talking about the skills that I've learned, I'll first talk about technical skills. So for the back end, uh, I summarize into four. So for cloud, I learned about various AWS services like Cognito, DynamoDB, S3, EC2, SageMaker AI, and Lambdas. I learned basically how they work and how to use them. So for infrastructures as code, we use Terraform, which is also a tool that I have to pick up from zero. And I also gained knowledge on Ubuntu and Docker. And I also revised concepts on microservices, containerizations, and the Linux operating system. For machine learning, I also summarized into four. For computer vision, I learned what is classification, what is object detection, and what's image segmentation. And most importantly, how they work. So I also gained a big picture of what's happening in the industry right now, like what are the industry practices and what are the available model families out there, and what are the challenges of the computer vision industry. And for frameworks, I learned about how to use PyTorch, TensorFlow, ONX, and TF-Lite. ON, uh, TF-Lite is something more specific to edge devices, and yeah, that's why I learned a lot over here. And also for foundational concepts, I learned about what are the inputs it takes and how these models are able to perform the tasks that they are trained on. Like, for example, how object detection models train, like what are the loss functions and what's the metrics. So for Edge, I also gain a high level overview of what's the trend in Edge AI and what are the challenges and what are the pain points. I also learned about some low level components that I've never touched before, like PCIe drivers, like how to install packages, and how to build Yocto image and reboot the entire operating system of the board. So these are the soft skills learned. Uh, so the first one, I learned to work with people from different backgrounds and with different strengths. Because the project I'm working on actually spans across uh three main disciplines: backend, machine learning, and edge or firmware. And so I have to communicate with different people to understand how different things work. And yeah, so I learned to work with them. I also learn to explain concepts to people from different disciplines. As I mentioned just now, this project is a multidisciplinary project. So I have to explain some software concepts to people that don't actually know about software much. And third one is how to ask the right questions. And the fourth one is uh what are the communication challenges in workplace? Like, for example, how do you approach a full-time that you think he's not uh putting effort in your project? So these are the communication challenges that I identified and uh and learn how to deal with. Okay. Thank you. This is all for my presentation.